Recently, I asked on Instagram about etiquette and protocol, and if you don't follow me there yet, make sure to follow me at etiquette and protocol as well. What would be the worst etiquette mistakes? Things that people know they're doing wrong, but even so, they still make those mistakes. So in this video, I'm going to talk about 10 practices that are often mentioned and discussed by you in the comments and question boxes on Instagram. Etiquette protocol. Hi, how are you? Welcome to the Etiquette and Protocol channel. I'm Juliana Santiago, and in this video, I'm going to tell you a little about what the people who follow the Etiquette and Protocol Institute here think and believe that these are practices everyone should know. Unfortunately, that's not what happens. This discussion came up on my Instagram because one day I went to a square here in Belo Horizonte, and unfortunately, this square was very, very dirty. Way beyond normal, so I recorded it and showed it to people because many times some people believe that etiquette is just something for the rich, something for snobby people. Just how to hold the fork, the knife, how to sit, things for princesses, for royalty, but that's not it. Etiquette is something that's part of our daily lives. And if everyone in some way tried to apply this constantly and actively in their daily practices, we would certainly have a different society and a much better world. So I decided to ask you what other things besides trash, right? Aside from the trash on the street, which is already terrible, people go to a little park, leave their trash lying around, don't pick up their own trash, sometimes don't throw it in the trash can, don't bring a little bag. It's after you have your picnic so you can take your waste with you. If you can't throw it away at the park, throw it away somewhere else. What bothers you the most, and what else could we spread to other people? Simple practices, but everyone should know them. Well, the first is really to wait your turn to speak. Some people really end up interrupting when they're about to talk. And they end up not giving the other person a chance to finish their reasoning, to finish their sentence. Or they don't even give the other person space to share their point of view in a conversation. That's it. We have to work on these aspects because otherwise it ends up sounding more like a lecture or a class. And nobody wants to spend all their time listening to lectures or classes from other people. A conversation is a two-way street or even involves more people in a group. So it's essential for us to learn to respect that everyone should have their moment to speak. Whether it's in a very basic conversation when you're talking to your parents, your mom, or a friend, or in moments of denial, a work presentation, a moment when your idea really needs to be seen, or a more important moment. These practices should be done in our daily lives, not just occasionally. Everything I'll discuss consists of simple practices that shouldn't be limited to a specific context, but should become daily habits. Another point is also sucking on food. Some people mention that this is actually something simple, but that many people, really many, still get it wrong. So a lot of people have the habit of sucking on pasta, sometimes sucking. The spoon is in the soup, which is an inelegant habit, and sometimes the other person keeps watching. Like that, they even lose their appetite, because they end up being impressed by the process and by the excessive noise you make there. Knowing how to handle these behaviors at the table isn't just about being elegant, a polite person, or someone with finesse. It's really about drawing attention to yourself, to what you say, to what you share, and not to the movements you make. For example, if you eat loudly, if you make those little noises, the attention goes to what you do and not to the ideas and exchanges you want to have at that moment at the table. And then when you manage processes in a kinder way, you naturally become an elegant person. So you don't have to force yourself to be elegant, no. Handling everything in a more delicate way will certainly make a big difference. Another point also applies to smokers. For those of you who have the habit of smoking, ideally in enclosed spaces, you should look for designated areas for this kind of activity. In open spaces, it's also recommended that you try to find the most appropriate place. And also pay attention to cigarette butts and the waste from your cigarette, usually in areas designated for smokers. There is usually an ashtray where you can put your ashes and the butt of your cigarette. All of this is to manage this process and your habit in a safer way for you and for others. Another point that's also worth mentioning here as an etiquette rule. A lot of people know this, but still keep making the same mistake. It's really talking badly about people behind their backs. This is a very common practice, not just talking badly about someone else, but also many times just speaking badly in general. When the person is still close to you, sometimes the person just left the table at the restaurant and went to the bathroom. She will come back and you just waited for her to leave so you could start talking badly about her. This also applies when you talk badly about the person and keep pointing at them, making negative comments. We don't do to others what we wouldn't want them to do to us. So, if you don't like people talking about you, why would you go around talking about other people? So, that's a habit we really need to cut out of our lives and out of our essence so we can be happier. I really believe in that. Seriously, everyone. The practices I'm presenting here to you, I selected 10 practices and they're presented in a random order. I didn't rank them as number 1, number 2, number 3, not like that. So I want to invite you at the end of this video to write down below the 3 practices you think everyone should know. But a lot of people still get it wrong. The 3 worst ones, comment them down below. Maybe we can rank the top 3 etiquette mistakes everyone should know but still gets wrong, chosen by you who watch the channel. Another point too, it's not respecting lines, whether it's in a restaurant line, a car line, a supermarket line, or at the bank. Anyway, respect the line. There's no point in trying to cut in line. The other day, this actually happened to me. I was in a store and the store had an elevator. I arrived first with my husband and some people came after us and then they went ahead of us in the elevator line. So it starts with small gestures. When you go to the mall to buy something with someone and you cut in front of the other person, not allowing the first person space. And the thing is, those people who cut in front of us, they weren't people who had priority. They were just people like us. And they went in simply because they were closer to the elevator that opened and they got in. And I, since I was a little farther away, stayed there waiting for the next one. So, really pay attention to the line. Understand that it's essential for you to respect it. This is something we have to teach, even to children. Children at school already learn this. We, as adults, should already have this within us, making it a regular practice in our daily lives. Unfortunately, people still make mistakes. Another issue that you also pointed out as another terrible mistake, but that a lot of people make, is the matter of cell phones, the use of cell phones. When many people are at a table and someone is just scrolling on their phone, it's like they're in a parallel world. At a restaurant, and then you end up getting more worried. With what's being posted on Instagram, the latest on YouTube, rather than actually being present in the moment you're in. Honestly, the cell phone for me is one of the biggest villains when it comes to making real connections. Many times we're more focused on what's happening in the digital world. Because the cell phone nowadays is a gateway to a huge digital universe and it's wonderful. If it weren't for the internet, we wouldn't be here talking. It gives access to more people, but we have to know how to differentiate when is the right time to enjoy and appreciate online content and events. When is the time to appreciate real life and reality? So prioritize that and know how to get along well with people in person, right there. Talking a little more about table manners, what's one aspect you think everyone should know, but some people still get it wrong? It's really talking with your mouth full. Some people don't know that you have to stop to be able to swallow. And then, yes, connecting. The moment at the table is really important so we can establish good communication to create a moment of connection. But knowing the right moment and knowing how to do it correctly is essential. And having your mouth full is definitely a primary concern. Another point as well, do you also think that this is lacking in our society? Nowadays, it's those old magic words. Thank you very much. Excuse me, please. That we often teach our children when we're working on the education process with them, with kids. But I think that throughout life, we end up forgetting and not applying them as effectively. Or in the same way that we expect from our children. So every time someone does something for you, say thank you. When you ask someone for something, say, please be kind to people. Kindness is something that costs nothing. That's what being elegant truly means. I've made several videos here already. If you're new, check them out. It's not about wearing designer clothes or having the best makeup or super fancy hair. No, none of that. Being elegant is about being kind and having good manners with other people. Another thing that people often don't respect is the matter of priority in certain places. So sometimes we have places reserved for elderly people or people with disabilities or those with priority. If they sit on public transportation, we also have specific lines for these people. And unfortunately, some people don't respect that and don't know when to give up their seat or space to someone else. Of course, if you're at a supermarket and the priority line is empty, you can go there, that's fine. But if there's a line and you don't qualify, no specific need. And then someone who really does have one arrives. You have to give your place to that person because that person has the right to that spot. It's their preference. And much more than just the law, people don't respect that. Even though there is a law of preference, a preferential law, people end up bypassing it and not applying this practice correctly. And that's not related to you. It's set by law. It's set for you. Also, be kind to others, especially if you're somewhere without a preferential line. But you saw a pregnant woman with a huge belly there. Why not let her go ahead of you? Why not, when you're on a bus, the priority seats are all taken, but you're sitting? If someone with a disability gets on and needs a seat, why not offer yours? So it's not just about the established standards and fitting into them, but rather acting correctly in any situation in your daily life. Another point where people make a lot of mistakes, and you agree with me, as I've mentioned a few times here on the channel, it's about the issue with shopping carts, where people use the shopping cart but aren't in the habit of returning it. With the shopping cart in its place, then people leave the shopping cart between the parking spaces in the middle of the parking lot. Inappropriate. That can be dangerous. It can damage someone else's car, be dangerous for children, for the elderly, because the cart can start moving and it can be a mess. So if you use the shopping cart right after shopping, put it back in its designated place. Always have a place for the carts to be returned, and that's where your cart should stay. I know that in the rush of daily life, it's sometimes hard to return the cart. But this is such a simple practice that it will definitely make the supermarket environment a much more pleasant place. Right here next to me, I made a video talking more about supermarket etiquette. I'm sure that if you've made it this far in this video, you're really gonna like it. Don't forget about our ranking down below. I wanna know what was your top 3 of the practices mentioned in this video. I'll stop here. Kisses and see you in the next video.